See if it works.
Maybe if we got time after the meeting, I brought my computer along too. I can show you how that spreadsheet works that I sent you.
And we're live.
Did you bring my, we're live? Okay. Called meeting to order. Any public comments on the items?
Nothing online?
Okay. Did anybody get a chance to read the minutes I sent out?
I did.
Yep.
Okay. Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Look good to me.
Me too.
Okay. All in favor of the minutes as read?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes accepted. Okay. That's good. Ongoing business, and I forgot to change it, the MOU with Lewis and Clark. It should have been MOU with Helena.
With that one, I still haven't heard back. Corey was gonna look in to see if he could find out more about the old existing agreement. I haven't got any other feedback from him on anything he had found out yet. But I know Commissioner Delger had spoken up too about maybe tabling this until July, till we get after the new contract renewal, because if we start an MOU now, and if we were to go to a different contractor, it really wouldn't serve a point. So I think if we were to table it until after that's done, then
Yeah, we should be all right shape. You got enough equipment working all right.
yeah, we have everything back so far, other than the thumb on the excavator.
Okay. Recyclable stuff, oil, aluminum cans, other recyclables, updates on that.
Daryl had passed along a letter of intent from the American Legion to collect the aluminum cans. So that's the only official interest that we've received via email. So if you guys are in support of that, then I can take that letter to the commission and see about letting them handle the recycling for aluminum cans.
Okay.
I'm in support.
Anybody entertain a motion?
Oh,
Oh,
I motion to
you move-
accept that? How
Move
would you, how would you?
move to accept the American Legion as the entity to recycle aluminum. Is there a second?
1 second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. American Legion, and you can send a letter to commissioners, I guess, on that. How about the recyclable oil? Have we done anything with
I
that?
haven't made progress on this one. This one kind of went to the back burner for me because I'm doing the annual renewal with DEQ for the landfill right now, working through that paperwork. So that kind of, the recyclable oil kind of got tabled until I can get through renewing our permit with DEQ. I finally, everybody's working from home at DEQ right now. So I was able to finally track somebody down, was able to get their cell phone that they're using at home, and we're making some progress, so I should have a better update by next meeting when I come back.
Okay, is that for pumping it out, was it, or?
No, that's for the cubes,
Cubes,
trying to, I'm trying to get us something, at least the new process going that buys us time to figure out what we're gonna do with the other tank that has a significant amount of solids in it.
Have you talked to any of the people that are dumping oil to see if they would like to take oil to the other people that are burning it?
You know, honestly, I haven't got any questions or concerns from any of the public on recyclable oils right now. So since I haven't had a lot of public comment or interest, that one's kind of, like I said, it's been tabled a little bit until I can work through some of the rest of this stuff.
Nobody's dumping oil in the cans, you know?
I haven't seen it, and I haven't really heard that concern from Kelly or from Larry as they're picking up the cans. The only place that we did see anything was in the walk-in can at Winston. It looked like somebody may have put some hydraulic oil in there when they tipped the can to put it on back on the hook truck. There was a small amount of what looked like either hydraulic fluid or radiator fluid or transmission fluid that was on the ground. It was a small amount, but we see that from time to time anyways, but it's not like it's been a rampant issue that we've noticed and the hook truck drivers haven't made notice of it.
Okay. How about the newspaper and stuff?
Newspaper, I can't find an actual formal contract with J5, so I'm gonna just contact them and say that it's just not cost effective for us at this time. I think one of the bills it was for a quarter of a ton, and like we had talked about, the quarterly bills approaching $150 when we're $26 a ton for regular C&D per ton. It's a significant upcharge for disposal of paper.
Okay.
And I would think, I'm reasonably certain that the vast majority of paper is getting put in the 40-yard cans or the walk-in cans as it is. So I think we're definitely paying a premium for the little bit that we are recycling.
Okay. Yeah, see if you can get them contacted pretty soon, so we don't have to pay that, so. Okay, any updates on equipment, facility repairs, or?
Right now, we have all of our equipment back up and running on the solid waste side. The solid waste transfer truck, the first Schaefer oil sample that was taken about 500 hours afterwards did show some residual metals in there, but we think that we're not burning any antifreeze, we're not burning through oil. I talked to Frank pretty extensively about it, and we think they just didn't do the greatest job flushing the system before they put it back together, so we're going to wait. Since we're using Schaefer oil and it's pretty expensive stuff, we didn't want to drain it and take a sample now, so we get about 5,000 miles into it. We're going to take a sample then and see if there is any increase. It wasn't significant enough to be an extreme need to deal with now, but it is something that we just want to make sure we're taking a look at. But the thumb on the excavator, we're still waiting for the new hydraulic cylinder and shaft to be turned on that, because the excavator's old enough that not only does CAT not make parts for it, the aftermarket, which is Balderson, they don't even make replacement parts for the thumb for the bucket right now. So we're having to have one fabricated.
Shouldn't take that long to fabricate one, I wouldn't think.
You wouldn't think so, but it's been down for a while.
Where'd you have to take that?
Well, CAT has a preferred vendor that they use out of Helena, so they're the CAT mechanic. Took the cylinder and the thumb off, and we have the actual thumb itself chained, so we can still safely use the excavator. But we're waiting for them to get done with the repair, and it's through whichever vendor that they typically use.
Probably could have bought a whole new cylinder.
Well, that's the problem. They don't make that cylinder anymore.
Well, I mean, there should be something out there, I would think, that would be close to matching.
You would think so. This one, the shaft had been bent significantly enough to where it blew the end of the cylinder out and did a bit of damage, and it was more repair than just an O-ring seal. I mean, but they said, the CAT mechanic said that Balderson doesn't even make a replacement part for it, so they spent a bit of time looking for an aftermarket vendor that made something similar. They couldn't find anything, so they're having a new shaft turned, and then they're trying to repair or replace the cylinder.
Sure. Okay.
It was impressive.
Any other questions? Facility repairs, I think we talked about.
This month is when Great West Engineering had said they were going to try to come down later this month to do the PER, to give us an estimate of repair. Like you said before, it was looking at a little over, it was right around 120,000 was what the last estimate I saw for the floor was, but that was 5 or 6 years ago. And then we've never had an estimate done or even a proposed scope of work for the wing wall. And like I said, it's tipping enough now, it's impacting the concrete pad that the 40-yard cans sit on, and it's starting to raise the 40-yard can to where it's disturbing the soil around it. So it's And to move 4 inches on a wall that long, it's leaned significantly.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's in immediate danger of falling over, but if nothing's done with it, that's the realistic outcome, is one day that wall will let go.
Okay. Solid waste loan, how's our loan doing?
The loan was approved through the commission, and we're set to, it looks budget-wise, with the first round of scrap that we sold, we'll have no issues making the payment this year. We would be sitting much better had we not had so many maintenance repairs this year, but we're on track. We've made the first payment installment we have 2 loans. We have the one for the 6 30-yard cans. We made that, or the invoice has been submitted for that one, for the first payment on the cans. And I haven't received the sheet yet for the total overage due in addition to the cans yet, but we're on track to be able to make that fine.
Okay, so on the last budget stuff, there was like $50,000 added in there. Is that the loan for just the cans, or was it for also the beginning of the season?
That was for the cans alone. That we had already paid for all of the rest of it. The grand total initially would have been $87,000, but that had already been paid out of the budget. So if we would have loaned that amount, we would have just been loaning against what we had already paid. So we made the decision just to stick with I think it's $49,000 and some change.
Yeah.
So that was the loan amount that we took, and that was just for the 6 30-yard cans.
Okay. Okay, and you said there wasn't much change in the budget or the financial.
We haven't had any major revenue spikes or expenses this month, other than just payroll and fuel costs. So far it was a pretty nice month.
Good. Okay, anybody else got questions there?
Last month we were sitting at 50% spend, roughly 60% through the year, so running slightly under on expenses, and our revenue was at 97% recoup, but that's with the estimate of May's taxes, or the May's assessment coming in. So we still, at that point, still had 5 months left to collect fees, so we were already very close to our initial estimate on what we were going to bring in revenue side, but that's because we had done well the first time we sold scrap, so that put us quite a bit ahead for the year, and has helped float us through some of these maintenance repairs that we've had.
Have you got it straightened out with accounting on breaking down?
Work in progress, and part of it is our admin, and part of it is there. So they were using a convenient code, kind of like a catch-all code. The majority of the stuff does go to disposal fees, and so it is, like I said, it's kind of a work in progress. When I run my next quarterly budget report, I'll get a better look to see if I can compare the two to make sure that the line items are actually matching up, that not everything's going to disposal, that we'll be able to see the canister rental costs and the sale of recyclable materials cost on there as a breakout, which, as you know, it's important to track to be able to see what's working and what's not for us.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, anything else in ongoing business? Okay, new business. Status for a current contract with Lewis and Clark.
I discussed this with Commissioner Delger, and it's come to the determination that we would have to, if we choose not to extend, we would have to do an RFP. And so I guess I would request the board to make a motion. It's my determination that there's enough competition right now, there are enough interested parties, that I think there's an opportunity for Broadwater County to get maybe a little better deal on our tonnage. And I guess I would encourage the board to make a motion to set forth an RFP and put this contract out for bid again.
Okay, if we do that, would it be possible to get Corey Swanson involved in that too?
Yes, it would.
Is it?
And Great West Engineering has templates for a lot of this stuff too, so it'll be very easy and very timely for them. We've already reached out and talked to them about it, and they can set up an RFP fairly quickly for us. But I will have Corey weigh in on it as well before we post.
You have a rough estimate on how many dollars a ton you think we might be able to save?
Honestly, it all depends. Right now, I mean, we're at $26 a ton currently. The facility we go to is a little bit farther away, and we've seen a pretty significant spike in our tire repair. Where they're at currently, they have to back over the entire field of crushed C&D material. So we've seen a significant tire repair bill or bills come in, which, you know, at $40 or $50 a repair. When there was one week we had 3 repairs in a week, and so you're looking at $150 extra in expense that week just for tire repair. It starts to eat up a $1 a ton difference. So I think regardless of where we go, I think there's, like I said, there's enough interested parties right now that putting it back out for a competitive bid wouldn't be it would be in the best interest of the county.
On the tire situation, is it predominantly in the back on the trailer tires, or is it on all the tires?
It's a scattering of all of them. We're typically heaviest loaded in the back axles, and that's where, but we've had drive wheel flats, so.
Because what I was understanding that even Tri-County still had to back across some of the, well, most time you aren't hauling C&D, it's mostly just regular garbage, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, from what my understanding, from what Kelly and Steve said, is they don't have to back nearly as far. They back up near the outside edge of the pit, and they would dump previously where they were, and then it would be pushed out to where they're at now. Yeah, Lewis and Clark has got an amazing facility that we all got to tour it that day, and it's quite the distance. I mean, they're backing all the way out, depending on where they need their fill levels at. You may be backing all the way to the far end of the pit, and at that point, I mean, even with household garbage, there can be significant sharps in there.
is our trailer worn enough that when it shakes things out, that stuff could fall ahead? Well, I know you said that you had tires on the drivers that were getting flats too, but the ones in the back could possibly have some nails from our loads.
It may, and there's a towable magnet that I'm looking to potentially purchase on the road crew side, because even our graders, I mean, we put brand new tires on TJ's grader not too long ago, and we got 2 flats. And so, I mean, there's always that chance, but we aren't seeing it near as much on the hook truck. It's almost specifically the transfer station truck that we're taking in for maintenance or for flat tire repair.
And is it
the walk-in trailer?
And when they fix them, is it always nails or is it rocks also?
I haven't asked all the way down to that level. I get the bills, and so when I see a pretty sharp spike in them, I asked the question, and the driver said, you know, Kelly has been pretty vocal about how many flats he's got while he's been out there on the tractor and the trailer. But I didn't specifically ask what item was puncturing the tire.
Because I know there's quite a bit of gravel road too.
It's the gravel roadway on the back roads going to Lewis and Clark is the Indian Creek Road is pretty well maintained and magged, and it gets enough traffic that I don't believe that would be the issue there. Maybe some of the secondary roads in Lewis and Clark County maybe where we're picking them up, but if we were having that amount of problem, I think the line plant would have seen a similar spike.
Yeah.
Well, I think if there's a chance to save a buck or two on the tonnage fees, then we should definitely put it out to bid and see what we get.
We looked at the total budget, or the total tipping fees and tonnage last week, and even even if we could save an additional $1, I think it's definitely worth the cost of the RFP package and everything going forward, especially when you look at a multi-year contract.
Okay. Have a motion?
I would make a motion that we put that out to
For an RFP.
engage in the RFP process and put that out to bid for the next how many year cycle is that?
I believe it's a 3-year contract, wasn't it, Mike?
What's that?
The solid waste contract with Lewis and Clark, that was a 3-year contract with the
The
option
3-year
to
contract,
extend.
I don't know if you can, change that to a 5 or a 10, or I think you could change it to a 5. I know you can't go beyond a 10.
I think currently we're in a 3-year
We're in a
contract
3-year
with the
contract
ability
right
to
now,
extend
yeah.
to 5 years is what we currently have. And judging by, I think that's a pretty competitive place to be. You know, if you're happy with where you're at, that gets you, 5 years down the road. If a new vendor comes in and, or maybe if Republic Services is all of a sudden interested, 3 years keeps people competitive.
So I would move that we put that out to bid for a 3-year contract.
Okay.
I second it.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded that we put out a RFP for a new contract for our landfill sites, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passed. I think the current contract we have with Lewis and Clark is actually going to end up 2.5 years, right? Because we started on a January and it'll end up on a June.
Are you sure we started in January? I was going through all my old notes to try to make a little timeline, and I thought it was started July 1st,
According to when the fees
2018.
changed. According to when the fees changed.
Oh,
That's
That
what
would
I
be the
got.
reflection.
Is that what you're?
Yeah, the information that I sent you on the previous one, it showed, I believe, January is somewhere early in the year is when it did show. Because I think it was because the RFP process took so long last time.
Probably.
I'm not sure. You had made mention of that before, that last RFP process took quite a bit longer than what was anticipated.
Okay. Maybe you could talk to Pete or whoever, Eric Griffin, and make sure that the contract is up in June
Okay.
and that they're anticipating something else too.
That
So,
was the last I heard is it finished it up. It had finished up at the end of June, but I will research more and make sure that's the case.
okay.
good. It was a 3-year one, so it started in January, but that's very odd.
I think they wanted a 5-year and then we wanted to try it to see how it was going to work, and so we decided on a 3-year, and then it ended up, I think we said how it started. I think it's going to be end up 2.5 years, so. Okay, because I think we have only a couple months before we'd have to do a written notification to extend it, right? Can we do it in 2 months?
I believe so. Like I said, Great West Engineering has templates. When we had talked to them last time, they said they would be able to generate the RFP fairly quickly.
Okay. And then, like I said, I want to make sure we talk to Corey so we don't get in trouble like we did last time with him.
So,
Okay. So we pretty much just covered the discussion on the RP, I guess. Anything else on that? New assessments discussion.
I've talked more with Nicole about this quite a bit, and as we talked about, there are a couple options. There's kind of multiple problems on this. We're not recouping until the first year's taxes, since our assessment's tagged into the taxes. So when I've talked to Nicole about it before, we're trying to decide whether we could put a partial assessment when an address is assigned, And that may catch or recreational or properties as well, or if you only do a half assessment, like it's been brought up or discussed before, if you could go, you know, or almost like a seasonal assessment. We have quite a few lots in the county that people bring their campers to over the summer, and you know, they'll leave their camper there, but they are generating waste, but there's no home built on it, so there's nothing that's really been assessed at that point. So I haven't got anything firm on that, other than it is something that I've been working with Nicole, and I've talked to Commissioner Delger and Fulford about it as well, on how we may be able to assess, you know, properties that are either used for recreation or, I mean, right now, so far, our sanitarian had said by mid-February, he'd done 27 septic approvals already. And the septic approval is good for typically a year. So those people that's 27 new homes that would be being built. So we really don't recoup that assessment on it. If they build right away in the year, there's several months where individuals are, you know, would be or have the potential to generate waste that we really aren't capturing that. So
I was thinking, we talked about it when Mary was around, and I was thinking that we had figured out a way to assess that as soon as they either did a septic permit or electrical permit, to assess that. So it made sure it was on the rolls.
As of my knowledge right now, that's currently not the practice.
Yeah, because I know we even started it back when Brian was around, didn't we? Talking about that, getting those on the rolls faster.
Obviously, nothing happened with that.
You were still on there when Brian
Yeah,
was there. But I know we talked about it a lot.
yeah, and nothing's come to
And I
pass.
know there was a form that we talked about with Nicole. She had a form that she figured up, and I thought we were going to go ahead with that. But
She's going to be on vacation until the 15th, but when she's back in office, I'll see if she still has the form. To my knowledge, that there's nothing been in place, so I'll specifically ask her about the form and where the discussion led us before, and if it didn't go, maybe the reasonings why it didn't go. But from the discussions I've had with her, I've kind of been led to believe that those things they're still not being assessed early during the building stage or during the recreation stage.
Was there something about an address being assigned as well? When an address is assigned, there'd be some kind of notification?
I think I remember something about that also.
The problem with that is, you know, people get an address, but they may not build for 4 or 5 years. And so if you bought a piece of property you intend on putting a cabin someday, if it has an address, even if you're not recreating on it, you're not building on it, would we assign a partial assessment, a full assessment, or?
But it perhaps is a starting place to keep an eye,
Mm-hmm.
then they're on the radar.
Yep.
You know, otherwise they get lost from the radar.
Yep.
I was wondering too if there was a way that we could hire somebody, you know, temporarily, like for a month, or, you know, we can run around for 2 weeks in the spring and 2 weeks in the fall or something like that, and cover all the roads and see if there's anything new on the, like on the radar.
We have the new PubWorks software that I've been in the training for that, and it's a GPS mapping software, and you can add anything you want to it. So we'll be sharing a portion of accounting's new position there, and one of the duties I was hoping to assign to them in the future would be to cover a lot of the GPS mapping portion of it, basically the data input. So once we do a baseline survey like that, as these addresses get assigned, we may be able to color code it differently on the PubWorks software. So we'd be able to pull a report and see new addresses assigned, and then we'd be able to, you know, drive and verify that nothing's been built on there yet, or that they're not extensively recreating on it. But that would be an easier way for us to track it. don't have that software up and running fully yet, but it'll be, we plan on doing a lot with it, similar with the road crew, marking all the culverts and areas of concern all through the county, but
So who will be putting the data in there? Would that be?
that would be this other position that's being hired.
Okay.
We're kind of co-sponsoring that through the Public Works Department. We donated some of the hours to make that position a little more attractive for hire. And when that person gets hired on there, they would be doing the data entry. So like if I'm out driving roads like I have to do, I'd be able to verify whether an address has been assigned, if anything's there, and then I could give that information to them and they could input it into the Public software program. 'Cause I'm road superintendent's part of my duties, so I drive the county roads quite frequently.
What if they're not on a county road?
If they're not out, if this is something that benefits solid waste, as long as it's not a private road, if it's a public access road, I can drive and check the new subdivisions as well.
Okay, that'd be a good idea.
Yes.
Because I know around me, there's a few that haven't been on the rolls for a long time. I probably should be.
Yep.
Mine too. There was 2 addresses made, another mailbox put in, which was another home, and they never got another assessment.
Would it be possible to charge them a full assessment when their address is assigned, but if they want to, if they don't intend to build for a while, they could come in and discuss that and get that reduced for on a yearly basis or several years?
I think that would be a question that Mr. Swanson would have, or an answer that Corey would have to give to us. I'd hate to speak on one way or the other, not knowing the legal basis for that. But I do know that we've had people that came in and said, hey, this house was condemned X amount of years ago. The fire department actually burned it, and we're still being charged the assessment for it. So we can't remove anything in-house. We actually have to call Myrna at the state, and she can remove the assessment. So it's not really as easy as us being able to just go to the treasurer's office and having them remove. It's a little more of a lengthy process, but things can be added or removed.
Still on a good rapport with them?
Yep. It has to go through, basically somebody will come to the treasurer's office and ask about it, then Doug kicks it down to me. I have to I have to research it, give him the go-ahead, and then I contact Doug. Doug contacts Myrna. Myrna will either remove it or keep it there, and then she emails the end user with their decision or contacts them in some way.
And back to the recreational property, can we start a conversation on what maybe we should do with that? Charge them a quarter of an assessment or a half of assessment? Or
I've been, the question I've asked, and I haven't got a firm answer yet, but a seasonal assessment, if you could go this month to this month and prorate the annual cost for however many months it is and assign it during typical recreation time. And you could use like the SRA campground, when their typical months of operation, if you assigned it from, say, May until end of September, is kind of what I have in mind. But once again, it's how do you determine if it's being used for solely recreation, or if it's a lot they bought with the intention of turning a profit on and selling at a later date. We had a gentleman that purchased a lot on Antelope Road, bought it sight unseen off the internet, never been there, never has any intention to build there. He just saw how quickly lots were going and the growth rate, so he thought it would be a good investment. Purchased it, wanted to do an approach permit, and when I contacted him, said he had no intention of ever building there. He just bought it as an investment opportunity. Now, an individual like that, should they be assigned an assessment if they never have the intention of using or building on there? They bought it as an investment. This individual doesn't even live in the state.
they're still paying property taxes, right?
Property tax, yeah.
So if they got assessed on there, through our arbitration, I suppose they could come to the solid waste board or you and, you know, I can't think
Request
of
to have it removed.
request to have it removed if they're, you don't hear from anybody, then I guess it would be on their
They're
taxes.
happily paying everything.
Yeah.
Some people do pay things blindly.
I will,
It's,
I will definitely, I'm gonna talk to, like I said, I would hate to say whether or not we could or couldn't until I get some legal guidance from Corey, so.
Right.
is there any kind of license they need to park an RV there over the summer? Or,
I'm not sure, but judging from what I've seen out at the Silo subdivision, not that I know of,
Just-
sometimes there's a lot that'll have 5
Yeah.
or 6 or campground or campers on there for the majority of the summer. And I guess it would depend on the individual subdivision, basically, the rules
I forget
for
how
each
they-
approved subdivision.
I forget how they pay the silos
The
KOA
covenants.
or,
I had a piece of property in Columbus one time, they said you could only camp on it for no more than 30 days in a calendar year, no more than 2 weeks at a time, you know, it was fairly restrictive covenants, but that was depending on each, you know, subdivided area, I think have its own set of restrictions.
okay.
the silos campgrounds, how do they pay for solid waste?
They would pay, like, once they're built, and they have a taxable,
I mean, the
the
campground that's there,
oh,
That's
they
the
there.
KOA that's there.
Do they have tri-county service? maybe?
they don't have Tri-County that I.
No.
They used to bring stuff down here, they have their own
Yeah.
canisters. But, you know, if they're only paying one fee,
The
there should be.
SRA, I'm not certain, maybe Mike knows about how the SRA.
I don't know,
disposes of theirs.
with the new concessionaire, I don't know what she's gonna do with
Yep.
it.
It was.
I think that she might have a deal with Tri-County already worked out,
through-
because
from
she had, for her
this-
budget, she only had like $560 for garbage in there. I don't know what where she got that price from.
You wouldn't just pick that price out of nowhere.
What's that?
You probably wouldn't just pick that price out of nowhere. She-
Well, I think she might have taken it off of her Forest Service contracts,
Oh, okay.
but that doesn't, I don't know how that applies to this location.
But even the people that have tri-county pickups, don't they still pay an assessment?
They pay an assessment, and then it's my understanding that Tri-County does not charge them for disposal, but charge them for the can, and then the service to pick up. But they still pay an assessment.
So silos KOA should still be paying solid waste assessments,
Yep, just like any other business.
right? But I don't know how many, I think I've looked it up.
The only
I
place,
don't remember that
the only
one.
residents in the county that are not paying the assessment, to my knowledge, that currently are a business, is the south end of the county that's been zoned outside of our solid waste district. Everybody else is. Tri-County's actually requested with the county at times if we would be able to drop the assessment for people that they're servicing. And from what I discussed with you guys and the commission, that's a no.
Yes,
And it's kind of an onerous.
Are they
deal.
still bringing, when I left last time and all this was just in the makes, they were bringing the garbage, what, are they bringing their garbage here?
No.
Or, okay, they bring it to them?
Yep.
Okay.
In the south end?
No,
The-
Tri-County, the
Oh.
people that they pick
Oh.
up. Because at the time Mary said she would rather they bring the Broadwater County garbage to the transfer station, to your transfer
I
station.
think Dave Duffy had mentioned that when we were doing the RFP.
Yeah, that was
That
kind
he
of,
was-
The current operators have asked about it, but, and I've talked to the commission about it before, if they were to do that, they would have to weigh in empty. So we knew that the trash that was being
Yeah.
put to our landfill was actually Broadwater County's. They weren't coming down with like a partial load. And it would take quite a bit further discussion and get Corey to weigh in before a true determination was. But when Mike and I talked last month about it,
Yeah,
about the only workable way we could see is if they had an empty ticket somewhere in Broadwater County, so we knew that they were they were empty before they loaded.
right?
And when we had talked about them, they mentioned it once and then haven't mentioned it again, so.
Okay. I was just curious about that. That is kind of a sticky point.
Yeah. Well, when we get a little further along in the assessments, maybe we can get all parties and Corey or whoever, Mike and their commissioners and try to figure something out on some of that, because I know we're missing a lot.
It'd be a good one to have a working meeting on in the future.
Right.
Where we could dig a little bit deeper in and discuss options and have Corey here to be able to kind of
Yeah.
weigh in on it.
And
Where-
Nicole and,
Yeah, it'd be a long enough topic that it would be better for a working meeting to work through all that than to try to do that inside of a board meeting.
right. But I just want to get it started. Okay, any other talk on that for right now? Okay, next meeting will be a working meeting. And we'll be reviewing the solid waste plan with options. March 12th, Friday, would that work for everybody?
Fine for
We
me.
should be able to make it work, yeah.
Okay, what time, you want to have it in the daytime, evening?
My brain works a lot better in the morning.
Be
I
fine
like
for
daytime
me.
better too.
10 o'clock, tentatively?
I can be available whenever you need me.
Okay, you want it earlier?
I think the commission had stated that if there was a Friday meeting, that you guys would prefer it to be earlier on a Friday, morning meeting.
Yeah, earlier on a Friday would be better.
10 a.m., something like that. Be okay.
9 or 10.
9 and 10.
And if you didn't want to be there, we could just go over the options and then give them to you later and talk to you later.
Well, I don't know if we'd have to be there, because if it's gonna be your working meeting, whatever comes out of it,
Can't
has to come
decide.
to us anyway.
Yeah.
Because we've had, when Mary was around, we had working meetings, we didn't.
Yeah,
just the board.
we won't be able to make a decision on anything, so
Right.
I don't. I guess it would be up to the commission whether they felt like they
Yeah.
needed to be there or not.
We'll hammer some things out and get some things,
9 would probably be better for me if that works for everybody else.
9.
9 is fine.
One of these days will-
Expect, I would imagine, probably at least an hour, maybe hour and a half, 2, depending how much we can think about it beforehand, I guess, so. Okay, and does that have to be here, Mike, in this room, or
What's that?
does that have to be here in this room, has to be streamed?
Yeah, I would think so. You'll have to make an appointment, or make sure that Jessica knows that you're using the building.
I already have, I got the calendar in, or the calendar, the 12th. is-
Calendar, okay.
Yeah, it's open altogether. I just, once you guys settle on a time, I can reserve the room, but there's nothing at all during any point in that day.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Topics will, like I say, will be review the solid waste plan with the options. Okay, we're adjourned.
Returned. That remind me of the Robert's Rules of Order.
No. I did print up some here the other day, I'll send them to you.